A former Chinese Premier Li Keqiang, the man who steered the world's second largest economy for a decade, has died. State media said he suffered from a heart attack on Thursday and passed away in Shanghai just after midnight local time. He was 68 years old. In Beijing's first public comment on his death, China's foreign ministry said it deeply mourned the passing of Li Keqiang. State media has published his official obituary, calling his death a huge loss to the Chinese Communist Party and to China. For more, Olivia Xiong joins us live from Beijing. Olivia, we just heard the official obituary. How has the government characterized, or the party characterized, the former premier?
Wei Su, there's been glowing praise for the former Chinese premier in that official obituary that has just been released by Chinese state media less than 12 hours since the news broke that he had died of a heart attack. But we have to note that there have been no further details regarding the circumstances surrounding his death, which has shocked and surprised many people here in China, given that Mr. Li had no known health conditions, at least publicly. This obituary also being closely watched, given that Mr. Li's decade in power as China's premier is often viewed to have been curtailed by Chinese President Xi Jinping, not being able to push forward as many policies as he would like. But in this piece, in the obituary, Mr. Li is described as an excellent Communist Party member, a time-tested and loyal communist soldier, a statesman and leader of the party and the state. And it recalls Mr. Li's long political career. It said that he had loved the party, the people, and the country since being a teenager, talking about his time being the party's secretary in Henan and Liaoning provinces. Also, the time when he was appointed vice premier back in 2008 and his contributions in helping to steer the country through the international financial crisis as well. But in recounting Mr. Li's time as premier, when he was appointed first in 2013 and reappointed again in 2018, while it described the many policies that he tried to champion, many on the economic front, talking about reform and opening up, as well as addressing people's concerns over housing, employment, education, and healthcare. It was also noteworthy that the policies were talked about as being implemented under, quote, the strong leadership of the party central committee with Xi Jinping at the core. A paragraph also notably adding that in March this year, after Mr. Li stepped down as premier, that he, quote, firmly supported the leadership of the party with Mr. Xi at the core, and that he cared about the development of the party and firmly supported the party's work, including, for example, its anti-corruption campaign. Now, this all comes as Mr. Li had been dropped from the Communist Party's Central Committee last year during a twice-a-decade party congress, in spite of him not being of retirement age yet. And this was being viewed by many observers as Mr. Xi wanting to put in place his close allies, and Mr. Li being from a rival faction that Mr. Xi was not a part of. So how this is being portrayed, seen as being extremely sensitive given the sudden passing of this former premier.
All right, Olivia, you mentioned the sense, at least in some quarters, some suggestions that he might have been curtailed in his desire to carry out perhaps greater economic reform. But for Mr. Li himself, and of course he stepped down in March this year, was there a sense of how he himself saw his own legacy from his last few public appearances?
Wait, so even though it's highly choreographed, one of the ways that the media has been able to interact with and get a glimpse of, Mr. Li's thinking was through the regular annual press conferences that the Chinese premier would helm at the close of the country's annual political meetings in March every year. Last year, in what would be his final appearance at this regular affair, he was the one who confirmed confirmed himself that he would be stepping down from the post as premier as he had met his 2-term limit. But when asked about his last term in government, he said that the biggest challenge came from the COVID-19 pandemic, which had dealt a heavy blow to China's economy. But he did express confidence in the road ahead. And this year, we then saw him deliver his final government work report as the government reshuffle, 5-yearly government reshuffle came to an end, in which he described the last 5 years as being truly momentous and remarkable, even though he said that ensuring economic stability would be the priority for the road ahead and the challenge for the next government.
Oh, thanks. Li Keqiang reporting live to us there from Beijing.